Yeah, I'm Khalila. I'm from London. It's wonderful to be here with all of you.
I'm when we met a little while ago, and I was really taken with. I hadn't ever had an extended conversation with a Muslim woman. We've been to Dubai and we've done business, but I hadn't had a chance to really get to know someone. And so you were in one of the programs we had, and I I appreciated your energy. In fact, I think I told you, even though I couldn't see your smile, you really smile with your eyes. And I'm curious about knowing a little bit of your story because you weren't born Muslim, right?
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah. And you know what? Just to say, I was really grateful that you reached out. And that's a really big message to everyone. If you do come into contact, it's wonderful to just have those conversations. But yeah, no, I wasn't born Muslim. I was a party girl, living living the crazy life. I was quite wild in my younger days, and it was 2007 when I became Muslim. I was 19. I'd been looking into it for a year, and at first I was like, no, 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 I don't want to hear it. But my heart opened up to it, and I fell in love with it. And who would have thought I'd be sitting here dressed like this with you today? It's just a 360 for me.
So tell us a little bit about how you're dressed.
Okay. So as a believing woman, we believe in dressing modesty. And for me, it's powerful because, as I said, I was a party girl. I was someone who was in the Western world considered as free, and so to dress like this, to me, I now feel free. I feel free because I'm judged for my intellect. I'm judged for other
Mm.
things. And that for me is powerful. And, it's a choice. And that is something I think people will be very surprised to hear. It's a choice. And under this, I still have a very big, loud, clear voice.
You had explained that the face veil, whereas the religion um, part of compliance, if you will, is that you have the head covering, but the face covering is in fact a choice. Why did you make that choice?
Yeah, yeah. So that, the what we are uphold to wear is the covering of our hair, right? And to wear the face veil, this is for me just that extra step of modesty where I wholeheartedly believe in my faith, and I feel liberated. It's very hard to comprehend, but I'm here to show you that to dress like this, I do feel free. And it is challenging because I'm outwardly visible, right? You can't miss me. My mum always says that to me. She's like, you want to be modest, but we can't miss you. But, for us, it's a strength, and it's something that we hold to be beautiful, and it has a lot of meaning to us. So to me, it's absolutely a strength.
I have a friend who talks about when you walk into a room, you want people to feel as if you have an energy has walked into the room. Someone you just feel something different, and that's what I'm getting from you. I'm curious, um, with your focus on really helping Muslim women in business, because I don't normally put those two things together in my head, but you've added another thing that doesn't fit in my head, which is party girl in business. So why don't we start there? What was it that changed for you where you found this interest? Because I'm guessing you weren't entrepreneurial by nature.
Oh no, absolutely not. I am creative. I was a performer. I was a host. I was in the performing world on stage. This is prior to me becoming Muslim. I was a public speaker. I was an activist. I was very vocal. So that's my line. That's what I was prior to becoming Muslim. And when I did become Muslim, I actually got a huge opportunity my agent at the time called me, and this was a few days after I'd just become Muslim. And he said, you have been given this opportunity to tour with a massive celebrity who was like a multi-million-dollar record label owner, and I would have been hosting. And it was a huge opportunity, but I knew, you know, I wasn't dressed like this at the time, but it was, you know, a step. I knew that was the direction I was going towards. And that party girl hanging with the celebrity life, it just couldn't fit. And it was a really big, huge, I mean, I cried so much, because that was what I'd been working so hard towards, and I knew that I couldn't do it. But, you know, now I didn't know how to bring that part of me into being a Muslim. So for 15 years, I did nothing. But, you know, getting into business, becoming an entrepreneur, this is where I've been able to find my voice and find, you know, that speaking up is powerful. And that's kind of how the journey has been for me.
So probably that thread from being an activist that's one thread that you've been able to pull through this. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. Can still speak up yeah, absolutely.
So I'm thinking of the person who's listening right now, and how you find the inner strength to hold on to a core belief, even if that is a new belief. And I'm going to guess there was some faith there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you embrace a huge change, a drastic change, there has to be a strength and a belief. It's not really an intellectual thing for me. It was, my heart felt full.
Right.
You know, in my heart felt full. I felt as if the puzzle pieces had been connected, and if I felt right. But of course, you know, the whole entire world is not designed, particularly when you put on media. It's not, you know, it's not what you see. There's not always good representation. But when you believe something, I think that's your strongest ability to be able to continue forward. So for me, there's no regrets. I have found true fulfillment.
Now, for the last 2 years, now you're a mom, so you've got some young ones at the house. And with COVID, we've all been indoors, so we're not out in public. But I have to ask, because I have to feel that in these charged times that we live in, that there's now you live in the UK, which feels very much more progressive around diversity, if you will, whether that's ethnic or religious or gender diversity. It just feels different than here in the States. Has that been a challenge for you?
Yeah, I mean, where I live in London, it's very diverse. I've always grown up. It's not segregated. In other parts of the UK, it absolutely is. But where we live, it's completely diverse. It's not segregated. It's just everybody is part of the society together. Of course, with the pandemic came the change of everything moved virtually. And as horrific as the times were, and as trying as the times were, I do think the positive for women like me was that shift of, you know, at the touch of a button, you have the ability to be on a stage. Like I say, social media is a stage. You have the ability to be on a stage worldwide. And that's how doors are able to be open for us to be vocal, to, you know, meet and come on TEDx in Santa Barbara and other opportunities such as that wouldn't have opened before the world became so virtual.
Now, pardon my ignorance, but I have one picture in my head of, like, in a mosque where the men are on one side, and then maybe not one side, but the men are separated from the women, and that there's still quite a bit of that prevalent. The question is, do you feel any kind of pressure locally to not be in business and to, let's say, stay at home and be a mom?
That is a really, really good question. Yes, in mosques, it is segregated, but to us, that's not something that we feel sad about, because we're there to pray, and
Sure.
we don't need distractions, which we can be. We're just there to kind of focus. So for us, it's a spiritual place to be. Absolutely. To tell you the truth, there are even cultural ideas towards a woman being vocal,
Right.
a
That's where
woman
I'm
speaking
going. Yeah.
up. Yeah, yeah. But if we actually look into the stories of the women around the messenger, we have Khadija. She was the first wife of the Prophet, and she was an entrepreneur. She was a
Huh.
businesswoman. She was actually his boss. That's
Huh.
how they met each other, right?
Huh.
But we don't hear that. We don't hear that. And that gives me and other women like me strength to know that, being a Muslim woman, it's not a weakness. When you see us, many people think, well, I mean, the most common word I get is ninja, or
Oh,
how can you see? This is it. How can you see? And I say, well, I could understand how can you speak, but you can see my eyes.
right.
you know,
Exactly.
Muslim women are powerful, interesting, intelligent. Once you get to know us, so.
Can you give me an example of someone who you've worked with where you've taken them from maybe not confident to very, very confident? In fact, are there some things that you have to maybe do differently to promote this sense of leadership?
Yeah, I definitely think it begins with a lot of self-worth and self-work, because as I've said, in media, there isn't that much representation of us vocally, and there is getting more, but as a general, there isn't that much for us to look up to. So first, we have to get really, really confident in our own skin. And, a lot of the women that I work with, they have to go right back and do the inner work to know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the world thinks. It's not about what other people think, especially when you have a gift, a skill. It's just about showing that. And actually, you find that when you do that self-healing work and you have that confidence, that other people start to say, okay, well, actually, you are really good. And
Right.
okay,
Right.
that's not going to be a barrier anymore for me.
Right. I think we talk about the stories we tell, the stories we're told, and then the story we tell ourselves. And what I'm hearing from you is there's an opportunity to change the story you tell yourself, because I think one of the common things we find is in anybody is this sense of an imposter syndrome. And I'm sure that's part of it. And I think we're layering on. I'm a very, very big champion for women in business, women in technology, women in. I mean, I work very, very hard. I'm doing a panel in a couple of weeks of just exactly that. So I'm really curious in. Well, here's a question. Do you feel that there's an opportunity for an outreach to young Muslim girls, I'm going to say 13, 14, 15 years old, to talk about the opportunity and potential for them, and kind of paint a picture of possibility for them?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so my eldest daughter's 13,
Mm,
and I hear from some of her friends, they're like, "Mommy, her friends on Instagram," and it's great for them to see that representation, that you don't need to sacrifice your values in order to get success.
oh,
And I think that is a great, great message for our young daughters and sons, to really see and know that there are so many more opportunities for them. The way the world is changing, that definitely is a positive that I can see.
that's such a perfect little button right there, that message. I'm so glad you have decided to take this step, not only for yourself, but to help women like yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much.